Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andy DeWin. I make custom mechanical keyboard content, and we're featuring MIKIT today, the affordable arm of Equinix, one of the most reliable pre-built keyboard makers with Rockstar factory loop stabilizers. You never have to mod it, you're ready to go out of the box. Do we get the same quality sound and feel as Equinix with this MIKIT line of keyboards, all for under $110 before shipping? Let's find out. This here is the DK65 Currant. I know the name does not roll off the tongue, but the thought does. This video is sponsored, but my opinion is always my own. I have a lot of experience reviewing Equinix keyboards. I review other budget keyboards, mid-tier keyboards, even the high-end, the gatekeeper keyboards, and the elitist keyboards. So hopefully I can use that experience to help you with your purchase decision. To address the elephant in the room, the designs for the MIKIT line of keyboards are wild. Like, that's not a minimal keyboard. It's kind of chonky because it has the knob over here and the slider, but that's kind of the Equinix charm. Their designs are quirky, and it kind of goes away from the kind of minimal, boring aesthetic if you just want something that is more of a showpiece, a centerpiece for your desk, rather than blending in with the rest of your aesthetic. So the look of this keyboard is very striking. A lot of the other MIKIT keyboards, they have extra things on the left and right. I specifically requested DK65 because there's nothing right here. Why does that matter? Well, that's the mouse area. If I want to play my FPS games, I actually want as much mouse space as possible. If I have a 65 with an extra slider or a knob over here, then I have less space for my mouse and I have to adjust when I go from a 60% or a 65% keyboard. I just don't like doing that. That's why I typically use only 60 and 65%. Like right here, this is my unicorn. So tons of space over here. And if I want to grab my other keyboard, this is my Kohaku. There's one row of navigation, but there's no extra stuff over here. I don't like the extra stuff on the right side. So right here we have the DK65 knob and slider on the left side, which kind of messes with the periphery because I keep thinking the escape key is like right here, but it's okay as long as my mouse base is consistent. One of the main drags about this keyboard is that there's no QMK VS, so your knob and slider are programmed with proprietary software. The software will have updates in the future to have more programmability, but that's not going to happen until around mid-2023, so keep that in mind. If it had QMK and VIA compatibility, there would be much more functionality, but unfortunately we do not have that here. Further into the aesthetics, as you can tell, this keyboard is very colorful. Primarily a plastic build, and the back plate is really cool. The contrast looks nice. It looks like there's a little bit of acrylic. It's smooth here, and the design here, even though it's not a screw, makes it look like a little bit more industrial. The USB-C is recessed, but the hole is going to have some issues with some USB cables, so keep that in mind if you have some fat like OEM cables, you know, from Amazon or for your other devices, maybe your Android phone. It may or may not work. The plastic pieces of this keyboard are so well done, it almost looks metal, but everything is plastic. It doesn't feel creaky. I'm trying to press it here, trying to bend it. Feels very solid in the hand, so I'm not too worried about the full plastic build. It saves a lot of cost, and as long as it feels pretty hefty in the hand, I don't hate it. Theme is consistent throughout. We got our purple, we got our yellow, and we have the one-to-one matching case. It's a pretty nice look. There's flippable feet, which I never use. It's just a pre-built thing. The option is there if you really want it. As for the sound, I have mentioned that this is $110 and below. Well, we got the upgrade for the TTC Holy Pandas because I really wanted to try this out. I haven't used Holy Pandas in a while, and the Holy Panda switches have kind of been trumped by the Bobo U4T or the Bobo U4 Thok. So that switch is kind of like the go-to tactile, and you can tell because it's one of the most popular switches on Reddit mechanical keyboards. So how does the TTC Holy Panda keep up? It is factory lubed, and I honestly think they're smooth AF and do not have any leaf ping, and it has a big tactile bump. This is a steel plate, so it adds a lot of heft, making it sound great with the tactiles. So let's check out the sound test. I feel like the stab's just a little sticky in there. Dude, that's a great sounding keyboard. After we took out the kind of wild Holy Panda. So I mentioned the $110 and below. That's if you use any of the other switches. You got your G Pro 2.0 brown, G Pro 2.0 yellow. You got your speed silvers. You got your TTC gold pinks, which are my favorite linear because it's light, it's loud, it's clacky. But if you want to get the Holy Pandas, it's gonna add a little bit more cost, $139 before shipping. TTC Holy Pandas are like 70 cents from most vendors per. So it's probably about $50 to get a set for a 65% keyboard. So to just spend $20 more to get TTC Holy Pandas, That's a banger value. The stabilizers in this board are cherry plate mounts, which means they're pretty good. The Co-Star stabilizers have given a lot of people some grief, especially the Western customers, because we're not used to it. We're typically used to plate mount. They're not as perfect as the Equinix ones. I would consider them 90% there. The only problem is the factory lube was a little bit too heavy-handed. It sounds like a little bit may have gotten underneath the stem, so it's a little squishy if you're listening for it. But with plate mount, you can easily take it apart without taking apart the case, and you can clean it up or remod it or replace the stabilizers. Inside the board, it's a gasket mount with PCB foam and PE foam. So that's pretty good for this price. I honestly wouldn't try to take apart this case because it's really not intended for that. The Equinix ones, I had to take off the sticker and take off the feet, and I can feel right here, there's some screw holes in the middle. So you're gonna take off this sticker and it's gonna look really cheap afterwards. For an all-in-one package though, this is pretty solid. With the PE foam and the gasket, the sound is very deep. There's that louder boost in the mid-tones because of the PE foam, but it honestly works with budget keyboards. $139 for the TTC Holy Pandas and $110 for any of the other switches. I think it's pretty solid for the price. Everything already installed, like installing switches into PE foam is super annoying. Trust me, it's super annoying. So if it's already ready to go, perfect. The build quality, as I alluded to prior, is very solid. I have no qualms with it at all. It is a bit low profile, as you can see the switches a little bit, right? So that doesn't feel as premium, like you want that high pro to hide the switches. But since it's RGB PCB, having a little bit of the switch show and having that light pop through is perfect. Overall, it's a pretty low front height board and low typing angles, so it's actually really comfortable for me. I banged out a pretty respectable WPM on the first try. So, is this keyboard worth it? I honestly was surprised. I was kind of unsure. Equinix keyboards are great, but once we moved into 2022, their price was a little high compared to the other budget options coming out of Owlabs, Wuchui, and KD fans. So it's really hard to push that way. With the MIKIT keyboards coming at low $100, it's a great value for an all-in-one package. This keyboard right here with the TTC Holy Pandas, honestly, there's not a lot of great tactile switches in pre-builds ready to go. You get your like guide around bounds, just like a little small, tiny little tactile bump. This is a big meaty bump right here. That's a thick tactile. And you get a little bit of fun with the knob for volume, and right now you get the slider for brightness for the RGB. So with the MIKIT boards having most of the quality of the Equinix offerings, this solves the main issue I had with Equinix boards, which is the price. These stabilizers are also plate mount and cherry style, so people are used to it. Co-Star stabilizers, although great as factory lubed, it's really hard for people to modify, and when you take off the keycaps, you can pop that wire. And this keyboard is hot swap, so you can grow with the keyboard. You can take the Holy Pandas out and put in another board if you want to, or you can put some other switches in, so you're not locked into a soldered pre-built, even though it's an entry-level board. I want most, if not all of them, to have the hot swap option, because soldering is difficult, because most of the fun of the hobby is experimenting with different switches. If you can't do that, it's kind of boring. Like, I don't want just an end game and never touch it again and just use it. Honestly, if you just go with the TTC Holy Pandas, you're pretty much good to go. Like, if you like tactiles, you're good. You know what? We even have 2.5 gigahertz dongle, wireless, and Bluetooth functionality, so we can bring mechanical keyboards to 2023, the modern age. Bluetooth and wireless are something that I didn't think would come to mechanical keyboards, but seeing it more in the entry level gives me a lot of hope for the mid tier and the high tier. I raved about the Tiger 80 Lite and the Tofu 60 2.0 before, but those keyboards are DIY kits where you still need to get switches and keycaps. But this thing right here, all in one, ready to go. And like I mentioned before, it's a great gift, or it's a great secondary keyboard that you don't have to worry about. But at the end of the day, like, I actually think this is gonna be my new go-to recommendation for friends and family, given that they can rock with the colors and aesthetic offerings from MIKIT. The price point for the all-in-one is perfect, so that I don't have to go find a random keycast to give them. Like, I just want to give them a gift and let them enjoy it. So in 2023, MIKIT came out with a solid line of keyboards, and I'm here for it. There's plenty of options in the market right now. It's a great time to be a beginner. I wish these were options when I started in 2019, 2020. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.